was at 7 years for CEH for a reason. It's because the work has amazing impact and change out, and you see the change in the people you work with and that kind of thing. The work and the what of it was really incredible. But the thing about having a leader like Michael is that not only is the what important, but the how we did it was incredibly regenerative and incredibly like soul feeding every single day in the work. And that is because Michael is the rare kind of leader who not only can lead from the front and from the back, but he's a leader who stands side to side with you. And the way he does that is because he loves and trusts people. Yeah. Michael, no, this is really real because it's really rare. It's like the kind of leader that Michael is he knows how to work with people. And this is something that is underestimated in our tech world today. All the way from being able to work with Tibetan refugee communities in Dharamsala around solid waste management, from caring for the sick at the Mother Teresa mission in Calcutta. And he laughingly says this, but I think this is at the heart of who Michael is. He says this sometimes that he's actually directly supervised by Dylan Green, who's 8 years old, and Gigi Green, who is 6 years old. But that our kids and our family at the heart of what does this work. And Michael brings that love and that side-by-side partnership in everything he does. And this has been recognized by the California Wellness Foundation, by the Dalai Lama Foundation, and it's been recognized by his community and his friends and his people who get to work with him on a day-to-day level. And it's something that I deeply miss. Yeah, I do. And why I'm so excited to be in support here. So I want to bring up Michael to tell us about the secret to a healthier world, because I know he's doing a lot of work on that. Please welcome Michael.
Hi. This is awesome. I have some notes here that I'm supposed to read right before I speak. Pretend I'm speaking to my daughter's kindergarten class. Be like my mom. That's enough. There is this historic battle going on right now in Washington, D.C. And it's hand-to-hand combat, and not that many people are tracking it. And the health of future generations are at stake. And the Center for Environmental Health is playing a key leadership role in it with a lot of our friends. And we're profoundly outgunned financially. So the hand-to-hand combat is with the chemical industry's lobby, and they've spent $190 million in the last few years to weaken policies that protect us from toxic chemicals. $190 million so that they can purvey their product unfettered by regulation. Our annual budget, maybe you guys can do something about this, is $3.5 million this year. 190, 3.5. So we're going to have some other kind of power to have the impact we need to have. Later this evening, Evan Handler is going to come up, and he's going to tell you about an experience he had on a CEH delegation to Capitol Hill a couple weeks ago, which I won't steal the story, but I just want to say that if we win, then people might not know we were there, but we will have saved lives. And if we lose, then it just means that the work we have to do is that much more important. I want you to understand what we do and how we do it a little bit. So I'm going to give you a little background on that. So these are my kids. The aforementioned Dylan and Gigi. He's 8, she's 6, they're best friends. It's awesome. It's It's really, really, really great. My most important job in life is to keep them safe and love them. My most important job in life is to keep them safe and love them. And sometimes what that looks like when I'm worried that I'm not doing my job is that I fear that they're unsafe, that I get this pain, that I have a physical manifestation. And you probably have had this experience with a child you love, where it literally hurts if you're worried about their safety. And so sometimes that can look like when I've seen Dylan be bullied on the soccer field by a bigger kid. Or maybe I'm worried that Gigi's going to fall off the monkey bars and get hurt. And those are kinds of things that you can see. You can actually intervene and protect your child or a child you love. Because you can see it. There's a physical boundary. There's the bully or the monkey bars. But sometimes there are things that you can't see, that there's not a boundary. And so the Center for Environmental Health protects kids from things you can't see, and there's no particular boundary. These include things like toxic chemicals in their air, the water they drink, the food they eat, the toys they play with. There's 84,000 chemicals in commerce. That means US companies are using 84,000 chemicals. And about 200 of them have been adequately tested for their health impacts. That means for 83,800 chemicals, we're doing a science experiment. And what we're doing is we're testing them out, and we're checking it out. And then maybe people will get sick, and maybe they won't. And we'll find out over time. So the Center for Environmental Health is laser focused on protecting everyone, including the kids you love, from these 83,800 chemicals. And the other 200 too. So we do it in 4 ways. We do it by creating precedent-setting policy that changes the rules of the game and creates rules that are different so that companies are required to do what will keep us safe and healthy. We do it by having collaborative relationships with companies that are making a huge difference in the world. Some of those companies are here tonight, like Kaiser Permanente and The Honest Company and Autodesk and Dignity Health and the Lexington Law Group and Media One and Mayacamas Ranch. So we can work collaboratively with folks like that, and that's a second way. The third way is to directly challenge companies that are willing to make people sick so they can make a quick buck. And they sometimes don't like us. I don't really get that. And then the fourth way we do it is by creating partnerships and tools. So for example, ways that you folks in this room can actually be part of the process of changing the world with us, as compared to just bystanders watching. So it's an odd centerpiece that Christine pointed out to you. You might be at the table with the baby-free stuff. I mean, the lead-free baby stuff. Baby-free stuff, too. You know, somebody asked if they could bring a kid, but that's not, I don't think that's not what I was talking about. You might be at the table with the furniture and the nap mats that no longer contain chemical flame retardants. So I just want to call out, for those of you who are not at that table, we actually don't have furniture there. We have toy furniture for a doll, and we couldn't fit the real furniture there. And I'm really counting on being a hero when I take Gigi home one of those centerpieces tonight. Another table has sodas. So the sodas, they must have them over there. That table's happy with the sodas example. The sodas, okay, where's my wife, Melanie? Melanie, it's not okay for our kids to drink soda, but at least it doesn't have any cancer-causing chemicals in it anymore. So each table tells the story of products that used to have chemicals that cause birth defects, or cancer, or diabetes, or early onset puberty in girls, or low sperm count in boys. And each one is an example of consumer products that used to and no longer have those. So I think that's cool. If you're at the baby products table, there's diaper rash cream. So I want to talk for a minute as an example about the diaper rash cream. It's lead-free. Lead-free. But just like everything else on all the tables, it used to not be pure like it is now. So we tested it, and it had lead in it. And we're like, what? Lead in baby powder. So we posed as buyers. We posed as buyers to find out, we said, we'd like to buy 1,000 pounds of this constituent that we know goes in baby powder and for all the different constituents, and here's what we found out. You could pay more and get the lead-free stuff, or you could pay less and get the leaded stuff. So Johnson & Johnson and Squibb and Pfizer and companies like that, multi-billion-dollar companies, were making a conscious choice to put lead in a product designed to be put on a baby where the skin is broken. So lead is a profound neurotoxin. And when you're exposed to lead as a young child, it can have long-term health effects like neurotoxicity or violent behavior or learning disabilities. And so frankly, we either sued them or threatened to sue them, and they all took the lead out. And then we used both collaboration and confrontation in the same way on lead in lunchboxes and candy and toys. And basically, we tested systematically every children's product that conceivably could have lead in it sold in the US. And they all took the lead out. Now, media was a very powerful tool in that example, obviously. So then, we wanted to pass federal legislation so there'd be no backsliding. And we'd get the people who we didn't catch. And what we found was, even in Washington, where you can't get anything passed, we were able to get this passed because all of the companies that would have otherwise fought for their right to expose children to lead had already changed their products. So there was no one who had a dog in the fight on the other side. So we got it passed. We and our friends. Another example is, and then I'll stop with the examples. So we've also forced dozens of companies to stop their air emissions. So if you think about where are the companies that have the most toxic air emissions, more often than not, you will find them in low-income communities of color. And we just think that's wrong. It's literally injustice. And for us, it's very important. It's a core value that we want to take that on and fix that problem. So while I was writing this speech, I was thinking about, do you folks know where these toxic chemicals come from? And so I figured I'd tell you, because there's basically two kinds. One of them is heavy metals, like lead or arsenic, and the other is made out of oil or gas. So what does that mean, made out of oil or gas? Well, the oil companies will dig oil or natural gas out of the ground, and then they will burn most of it, and they'll sell some of it to companies, chemical companies, who will make some specialty chemical out of it, one of those 84,000. And then those chemical companies will then synthesize some synthetic thing. And then they'll sell it to companies that make stuff, like dolls or something like that. And then when they sell it to the manufacturers will use those chemicals, and if they are toxic, they are putting the workers in that factory at risk, they're putting the local communities at risk, and eventually the consumers at risk. So then what happens is those things are sold. And when those things are sold, then between the community and the workers and the consumers, those chemicals end up in our bodies and in our blood. So we don't like that at the Center for Environmental Health. So let me tell you what we're going to do about it. We're going to do the same thing that we've already been so successful doing. We're going to use those same 4 strategies. We're going to write and get passed great legislation. We're going to collaborate with companies that are really making an impact in the world. We're going to challenge the companies that are just trying to make a quick buck. And we're going to work with community partners and people like the people in this room to make a change together and work together. So These are some companies who have signed the CEH pledge on chemical flame retardants. So these chemicals are toxic, and they don't actually retard flames in the real world. And so we want them to stop using them in furniture and other products. So these companies have all signed, and these are big companies, they've all signed a pledge that they're going to buy furniture and other products that used to have these chemicals in them, but only if they don't have them. And combined, they're buying over $500 million a year, $500 million a year in furniture and other products that typically would have these chemicals. And so if in the next 6 or 12 months we can get another $500 million, then what's going to happen is there's going to be so much demand for the non-toxic stuff that no one's going to want to buy it. So no one's going to make it, so we don't even actually have to try to get something done in Washington, which is so difficult to do. So that's one example. So another example is e-cigs. Those things really bug me. I don't know, but they really bug me. One of the things that bugs me about e-cigs, e-cigarettes, is that I see people walking down the street vaping. And I didn't know that was a word, but vaping. And they think that they are doing something that is a safe alternative to smoking. So it's full of chemicals that are putting their or potentially their future children at risk. And they think because of the marketing, and especially the marketing marketed to teens, because that's part of their strategy with the candy flavored and stuff like that, that they're going to not be harmed. And so that marketing's got to stop. And they have to be honest about what they're doing, these companies. And we're going to make them be honest about what they're doing. So that's the second thing that we're working on. And then the last one is Governor Brown. He was on TV last month, and he was talking about the drought. And he was saying, we got to stop watering our lawns. We got to stop filling up our swimming pools. I don't have a swimming pool, few. We need to make changes so that we're using less water. He's 100% right. I'm totally with him. My neighbor across the street tore out his lawn and put in native plants. We also are tearing out our lawn. I promised him that after the gala that we would actually put in native plants, because I'm kind of busy right now. And that's great. And the governor's right. But at the same moment, the state is allowing the oil companies to dump waste from fracking wastewater into aquifers. So the water is too precious for us to put on our lawns. But it's not too precious for the oil companies to contaminate and make useless in our sources of drinking water. So we're going to take this on, and we're just going to stop it. We're just going to stop it. So we're going to use our 4 tactics. We're going to write great policy and get it passed. We're going to work with industry leaders. We're going to push around industry laggards. And we're going to work with folks like you to actually make change in the world and change the world. So we need your help. It's not easy. And so later, my ask is later, when you get a chance, and there's a chance for you to support us financially, don't be shy. Step up. We really need your help so we can do this together and change the world. Thank you very much.